We'll now turn to look at Locke's view of the state of war. Now, he distinguishes himself from Hobbes in the fact that his state of war is not identical to the state of nature. However, he does include a state of war in his theory. He considers it a state of destruction and enmity. In other words, things going bad. Now, he begins by considering how the state of war is initiated. And he says basically one way to do this is by declaring by word or action a sedate, settled design upon another person's life. And this creates a state of war. Now, the reason why he notes a sedate, settled design is because in other writings he examines the notion of people acting from insanity or madness. And so essentially, roughly put, this is sort of like if someone declares war on you, then you are in a state of war. Now, what is the grounding for this right to destroy? Well, his justification is this. If something threatens a person with destruction, then, in general, it's reasonable and just to have a right to destroy whatever threatens one with destruction. Now, he doesn't extend this to like any threat to somebody automatically justifies destruction. As he sees it, the fundamental law of nature is that humanity is to be preserved, and if we cannot preserve everyone, then the safety of the innocent is to be preferred. So, if someone is trying to destroy you, and you are innocent, then you have the right to destroy them. Because even though, according to Locke, we're supposed to preserve everyone, if we cannot preserve everyone, then the innocent get preference. Now, he further justifies it on the same grounds that we may kill a wolf or a lion attempting to kill us. Because basically, as he sees it, someone who's simply going about trying to destroy people for no good reason, they are not under the common law of reason and have no other rule but of force and violence. And so, they may, since they are acting as beasts of prey, like lions and tigers and bears, we have the right to destroy them whenever they attempt to destroy us. The second consideration he considers in terms of creating the state of war is that if a person attempts to enslave another, so trying to get another person into one's absolute power creates a state of war. Why? Well, a person who would attempt to get another into their power without consent, it may be assumed, would use whatever means, whatever to harm the other person, and roughly put, we have no reason to think that someone who would put someone else in absolute power, that they would do anything other than to compel by force what is against the right of freedom. And so as he sees it, reason tells us that one who attempts to enslave a person creates a state of war. And a person who takes the freedom of any must be seen as intending to take all the rest. And so as he sees it, if someone attempts to enslave anybody, that must be seen as regarding someone who's making war on the individual in question and everyone, and that creates a state of war, and the person may thus be justly destroyed. Now he considers a third case involving the right to kill a thief. Now, it's lawful, as he sees it, to kill a thief who, even though the thief says, suppose you're in a city somewhere, and someone leaps out of an alley with a knife or a gun and says, look, I don't want to hurt you, I just want your money, just give me the money and I'll let you go. Now in that scenario, Locke's view is that if someone attempts to rob you, even though they say they're not going to harm you, you have the right, you're not required to, but you have the right to kill them in self-defense. Why? Well, here's his reasoning. If the thief is willing to use force to rob you of your property, you have no reason to think that he might not take everything else. Thus, it is lawful, in Locke's view, to treat him as if you're in a state of war with a person, that you can kill that person if you can. Again, you don't have to, but if someone attempts to rob you, with force, then you have the moral right to kill them. Because as Locke sees it, if they intend to rob you by force, you have no reason whatsoever to believe they'll simply stop there. Now, getting back to the distinction between the state of nature and the state of war, Locke, unlike Hobbes, considers them very distinct. The state of nature, as he sees it, is a state in which people are living together, according to reason, without a common superior on earth. Basically, the idea is if we're living, people are living together without political authority. For him, that is the state of nature. The state of war, as he sees it, though, is something considerably worse. That is essentially just fighting without, a greater authority to appeal to, and it's a lack of appeal, as he sees it, to a greater authority that gives people this right of war, which segues nicely into the point about self-defense. Now, going back to the point about the thief, again, if someone is attempting to rob you, and even if they say they're not going to harm you, you have the right to kill them. You don't have to kill them, but you have the right to do so. Now, if someone, robs you, and but say like they break into your apartment or dorm room or housing up there, and they take some of your stuff. Now, in Locke's view, in that scenario, you wouldn't have the right to go and kill them because, well, they've just stolen. They didn't put your life in danger. Now, if you're there and they break in, they're trying to rob you, different story. So as Locke sees it, in scenarios in which someone is trying to rob you, posing potential threat to your life, you have the right to kill them. In cases where someone has stolen from you, then you have to appeal, at least in the case where there's a state of society, then you have to appeal to the law. And that brings us to the end of looking at Locke's view of the state of war. And next we'll turn to property and tyranny.